prop trading as a business is one we know of that's not regulated. It's a gray area. Couldn't the fund model maybe be used as a framework for the prop trading businesses, which we're seeing mushrooming everywhere?
Two different aspects. It's different investing your own funds, and it's different, investing third parties' capital. This is the distinction you need to make. This is the main question.
So the gray area obviously is where the prop trading side is they're saying this is not clients' funds.
Yeah.
These are our own funds. Mm-hmm. These are clients that are subscribing to getting evaluated and they're trading our funds.
Imagine if you have, let's say, $500,000 in the bank account and you need to buy a house. It's your own money. You buy whatever you want. So why should be regulated? Your decision should be regulated. It's the same with a company that has own capital and decides to invest in any area they want. So no regulation. And it's healthy. Why should because I have money, it means I need to be regulated? No. The problem here, and it's a matter of client protection and investors protection. That's where the regulation kicks in.
Let's touch a little bit on the iGaming.
We are expecting the regulation in Cyprus to be finalized. It's under drafting.
For casinos online?
For gaming, yeah.
Because now I know that there's sports betting for sure.
For betting, the op-up games and stuff like that.
Oh, and then there's also
the physical casino.
Yeah.
And the physical casino. And we're expecting the iGaming regulation, which is drafted based on the Maltese standards, which we have to admit are very good ones.
It's a prestigious license.
Yeah.
The Maltese one.
Very good one.
Welcome to the Financial Frontiers podcast. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon to get notified when we upload new content. Follow us on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating. It will help the channel, which I hope you love so much. Okay, here we are, another episode of the Financial Frontiers podcast. Today, my guests are from a leader in the industry, a company called Teppides. I think I'm missing some acronyms, there's some letters. You guys can fill in the blanks there. Christina and Yorgo, thank you very much for your time. This podcast is going to be around compliance. A company like Teppides is at the forefront of potential upcoming trends. You guys have the insight on how many companies are registering, which jurisdictions are up and coming, which are valid or reputable jurisdictions for licensing, both in the brokerage, the gaming sector, and generally in the fintech space mainly, but also gaming. We're going to have a discussion over here around compliance, I guess, and crypto and all these things. Let's start with introductions. Yorgo, maybe you want to start, or actually ladies first. Christina, introduce yourself, then we go to Yorgo and we work around your backgrounds, and let's get into a conversation. Yeah.
Perfect. Firstly, allow us to thank you for inviting us to this podcast. I'm Christina Panayiotou, being a member of Teppides for the last 12 years, specialized in the provision of compliance consulting services and also internal audit lately. Member of the board of directors, and my experience mainly focus on the investment services sector, the gaming sector, and a bit of fund managers and funds along with George. We had an excellent collaboration when that industry was booming, let's say, because now it's on the, yeah. Exactly.
Which industry? The funds industry?
The funds.
Settling down now.
Yeah.
Stable declining.
All right. We'll get into that. George.
Yep. So I'm George, Yorgos. Thank you for having us here as well. Let me play with the name of Teppides first, because you said Teppides, but it has more letters, etc. So if you're referring to Teppides, you need to say Teppides Group. Right. When you go and tackle, let's say, specific companies, it's K Teppides & Co. Limited. So let's start from this one.
Okay.
And then we have other named companies, Teppides Corporate Services in Hong Kong, and mainly about the brand, etc. It's a global firm. We have offices in London, Hong Kong, Dubai, in Cyprus, Limassol, Nicosia, and in Malta. Several names, but everything belongs to the same group and ownership. So back to myself, I'm George. I've been member of the board of management since 2016. I joined Teppides Group in 2015. Then I joined the board of directors in 2020. Extensive experience in funds and fund management, company structuring, authorizations, ongoing fund administration. And then it goes, let's say, to the several spaces that the funds operate within their investment strategies, policies, etc., which where the compliance side, the regulatory side is tied up, because you need to be compliant, whatever you do. In several jurisdictions, we cover Cayman, Malta, Cyprus, Luxembourg, and it goes further. At the same time, because of the very, let's say, broad options that funds have in terms of investing in several type of underlying assets, including cryptos, including venture capitals, private equities, FX, it comes to real estate. So you understand that the knowledge, it doesn't, let's say, the nature of the fund or a fund manager doesn't limit the nature of the knowledge and experience you gain when you deal with this type of things.
Right.
The good part of us is that 40 years now. Yeah. It's our 40-year anniversary.
Teppides
Group. So what it means, all of this knowledge accumulated so many years in several areas, starting from a tax office, audit office, traditional services, corporate services, and being with a, let's say, elite type of clientele. So we had the opportunity through the years, not just us, I mean, the founders of the company, the additional, let's say, partners join through the years, and still they are in the group. So we give them the regards that, because we are there with them as well, and so we are learning every day. They had the opportunity to build up a clientele. I mean, with elite clients, several type of business. We have clients sending missiles to the space.
And what are you doing with that type of client? What kind of services do you provide them?
It's based on their structure. I mean,
okay.
Yes, it's structure.
So it's not just financial services and gaming. It's also generally company formation.
The traditional model. I mean, that's how we started. But because, when you don't belong in a network, you are more, let's say, able to play with the trends.
Right.
Okay.
I would say go with the flow. See what the market trends are and get into that. We're not limited into a specific market, but we make sure that depending on the trends, we specialized on that areas.
We build, we invest. For example, I mean, and obviously everything has to do with the company itself, whether there is, let's say, the capital to be invested in new areas.
Right.
So we are a type of company like that, a group like that. So if we like something and we're finding challenging and interesting, obviously combined with who we are and whether it fits the picture we need to keep, because big name, 40 years, but we try to keep a low profile. I mean, the people they know us. The people they would like to get to know us after introductions, we're happy to meet them and show what we can do. So being flexible, it means that this year is product type A. We focus on that. We invest on that, the resources, the infrastructure, in order to be positioned to serve that product. I mean, the clients that they prefer that product. And then we move to another product. Right. So this has been the nature of the company 40 years ago.
Right.
Imagine accumulation of the knowledge.
Yes.
And then the last, let's say, 15 years, the application of that knowledge to specific industries and specific ways of applying it. And at the same time, innovative ideas that have been developed during the years.
Right. So 40 years means around 1985. That means
exactly.
11 years after the invasion.
Yeah.
I guess Cyprus was already starting to kind of establish itself. And it makes sense, 40 years in, when you start off with more a generic, let's call it, list of services where it's company formation for whatever reason it is, bringing
mainly auditing.
Yeah. Audit company formation, auditing. So accounting,
audit, tax, corporate services, which is the formation of companies,
right.
Secretarial work,
100%.
drafting.
And now in a market that's kind of up and coming, Cyprus has evolved a lot from 85 to what it is today. And then that obviously puts you in a position to then see, okay, we're getting a lot of interest in financial services, then let's get into that, and gaming and whatever it is. And so obviously your headquarters and the founders are Cypriot based. Mm-hmm. And then as the trends come through, as kind of demand comes through, and you see, the market's asking for this type of product, that obviously triggered and maybe, was the catalyst that was required for you to move into other jurisdictions and have offices in these other locations. Okay, so let's get into a bit of a conversation here around, I guess, what's interesting to the audience over here, maybe linking it to finance in some way or another. And as we know, the audience is mainly from the fintech space, okay, right? In which I think Teppides has most of its clients, right? There, you do have a big name in the industry, and let's get into this. So, if you compare the landscape and the space, how it was back in 2008, where there was, I don't know how many brokers there were, and to what we are today. I guess you also weren't part of the industry back then, and you can work with whatever experience you have as an individual. Because I don't think Yorgo or Christina, you mentioned where you were before Teppides. But how do you see the market has shifted? So, compared to back in 2010, let's say, where I'm sure there was a massive influx of, interest. I don't know if the same exists today, or is there maybe, is it in the crypto space? What challenges have you seen? How has Teppides evolved, and what have you seen with regard to, the interest around the financial services sector? Maybe Yorgo, you can start, and then,
Go first. Ladies first.
All right. So I will start from 2014, that I've joined Teppides.
I will cover the years before and after.
Was my first job in being state.
Teppides was your first job?
Yeah.
Okay.
12 years ago. So I joined when the financial services industry in Cyprus was booming. It was the cut-off time that binary options were getting under the scrutiny and under regulation. And the consulting department of Teppides suddenly became huge. It was from 2 people to we reached 50 people on some days.
Just on the consulting side?
Just on the consulting side, yeah.
And that comes in the form of, this is the type of license you need for this kind of product. You need,
From the very beginning, coming in, saying your idea, what type of products you want, the types of clients you want to target, the industries that you would like to offer your services. And we are just forming an opinion which regulatory license or jurisdiction is most suitable to your needs and obviously on your budget.
Just bracket, when we say consulting, the consulting is split in several, let's say, I'm not going to call them functions, several sub-departments, okay?
Categories.
So you cover what we are looking out of the clients is just to share their vision with us. And we go back to them saying, this is what is suitable for you, okay? So what it means, there is collaboration, there is the structuring team, there is the legal team, there is a consulting regulatory team, there is the internal audit team, there is the risk management team. There are the fund-specific people dealing with specific areas if that relates to the structure, and it goes like that. So what's happening, back to Christina, it's the consulting, and it's as she described it, meaning that you're telling us, we evaluate, we assess your, I like to call it vision, because someone comes with a vision, I want to do this.
Right.
Okay, and it's called vision because, behind, if you read the hidden lines, let's say, of I want this, it means expansion, development, become bigger. So it's like a vision. It's ongoing.
Right.
So we are assessing, and back to Christina, concluding.
Yeah. We're assessing and we propose, let's say, what type of license you would like to have. So the challenges, back then, there was uncertainty, new regulations, people were not into that. We are fresh in general, the employees in the market who were not certain of the regulations, and we have built it up, our knowledge. In general, Cyprus has been a hub of extensive knowledge and experience around compliance. I think we're very capable in terms of this marketing. So the challenge was to get into the regulations. At the beginning, we were mainly involved to day-to-day matters and very simple things just to build up the industry. But now the trend is very different. Now we're into more complex things, not the day-to-day, because the market is mature. They know the regulations. Even if those are evolving and changing a lot, I think we have the habits, the knowledge, the understanding of get into that regulation. And now clients, they're more demanding. They're coming to you with more complex requests, more challenging ones.
Can you give like some examples? So obviously, it makes sense. In the beginning of any industry where it's booming, new participants, what's this market that, such hype. And, the basics obviously are getting, that framework's getting built as the market kind of matures. So what would you say is the more complex kind of consulting that a broker's or a financial institution would need in today's day and age?
Shall I step in and say something? I mean, just to make it more clear, because I think the audience will get a bit confused. What we are saying here is that being part of the evolution of a regulation of a new type of product, financial services or specific type of licenses that came out of the European directives, blah, 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 adapted by the local regulators, etc. Everyone, including the service providers, they were in a learning curve.
Right.
So people, they were coming saying, I want to build this. Okay. Obviously, as a group, it's publicly known. I mean, sometimes we aim to build our own thing, our own product that belongs to us, to test it,
right,
to get the knowledge over our product with our own investment capital.
Right. Okay.
Be sure that at the point of time we are ready, based on the experience we have with our staff, without exposing any client, because mainly we would like to maintain our reputation and, let's say, balance the reputational risk that might, let's say, arise trying to play with the fire without being
if I understand
a
correctly,
firefighter.
100%. So just to understand, are you saying that as Teppides, you submit and you register your own stuff, for example?
I mean, if you go back in the history of the Teppides group, there were FX companies that belong to the founders of the Teppides group.
Okay.
If it's not founders, the relatives. Okay. So that, as a service provider, providing services to your own, let's say, group-related company, the risk of reputational damage is low. At the same time, you build up consulting, meaning that you have the team exploring that product, playing with that product, and at the point of time, you mature along with the market. I mean, you come to the point where the market stands, and you are in a position to provide services because you've learned without exposing anyone.
Right.
I mean, compared to the other service providers, they always say we know, but they don't know.
Right.
So we are testing and we maintain, let's say, the balance. So going back, at the beginning, everything was a learning curve for us, for the people they wanted to establish their companies, etc. So what's happening? The nature of the request, it was bread and butter, meaning that I want this, what the regulation says about that, and everything was a flow.
Plain vanilla.
Plain vanilla. It was just a security. Right. It was nothing else. Right. Not exotic products. So coming back and along the development of the market, and because the market, I mean, we are talking about 2011 to 2012, and now we are in 2015. Okay? If you consider that the work cycle of an employee in a professional services space is 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Okay? So starting from 2012, learning curve. In 2015 and 2016, out of a 50 people consulting team, imagine the employees turnover that we had as a company and how many people out of that consulting department were distributed in the market.
Right.
So it means knowledge began to expand.
Right.
People, they knew, and they were not after the plain vanilla and bread and butter instruments or questions.
Right.
And coming back to Christina, is where the more complicated stuff comes in and where actually our job became more interesting.
Right.
Because we're not dealing with bread and butter.
Yes.
It's the third time I'm saying bread and butter, but I cannot describe it elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
Another way,
in a different way. So, more complicated structures, more complicated products, evolution of regulations, MiFID 1, MiFID 2, investment restrictions that we didn't have, binaries out of the market, trading platforms, back to fintech, incentives, building your own infrastructure, your own technology.
Right.
People now, they are not just I'm hiring or I'm leasing a platform. I want to build my own platform.
Right.
So you're going out of the common,
Ordinary
AML procedures. What are they? KYC or whatever. I mean, regulatory-based related matters that you have to do. So now we are getting more involved. Okay, you want your platform? Okay, we need to consider tax. We have the IP regime. We have the NID regime. So it's good for us because IP, intellectual property regime, national interest deduction regime for the audience to be in a position to follow. So 10, 15 years later, we are talking about a broad knowledge, being in a position to identify what the actual needs are. And this is the justification of what I said earlier. I mean, having the opportunity, start pushing the train until it gets a speed.
Right.
And not trying to get on the train when it's on the X speed.
Yes.
Sometimes it's beneficial.
Yeah. So, I mean, companies like Teppides serve almost as a university that you don't need to pay for. You get paid to attend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We would like to call ourselves like that.
Sometimes we are like, we're academy. Okay. I mean, as a director, I mean, sometimes I was getting pissed. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Because I thought if I want to be a professor, I would have been a professor. At least more flexible. But it's in the end of the day, you need to see the trend.
Yes.
I mean,
people are going to come and go.
People out.
100%.
People in, people out. I
You,
mean,
you can't stop that.
I was elsewhere before I went to Teppides. I mean, I stayed to Teppides because I wanted to stay to Teppides for my own reasons. I mean, what we see, what I've seen there, etc. Goes whatever. Everyone has their choice.
Yes.
And at least everyone should be ambitious.
What I would like to say here is that we do invest a lot in people, in the training. Investing to on-the-job training, external training, building on their knowledge and understanding, exposing even if the junior staff to complex questions, we're not diminishing anyone there. And back to what you said, yes, the turnover was huge, but I think that the market, the most successful professionals in the market have passed from a consulting firm and especially from
Of course. I think having the perspective of, I understand that logic, this is our company, this is Teppides, or, I can speak about myself as well, the DGM, because we also have some form of intellectual property, the way we approach platform management, right? Which is what our service is. I understand that thing, this is my intellectual property, the way we do things. Our trained individuals, there's a whole overhead and recruitment cost that comes around training people, and then they get out into the market and all that is lost. But here's my different perspective, which I think in an indirect way, it serves, it's all good. It serves us well because the people that came into the Teppides, they went out into the market, they expanded other companies. Now Cyprus becomes a hub. And yes, Teppides was part of that in an indirect way. It's fine. Other companies might benefit. Fine. But Teppides is still there. Dinosaur of the industry, still there, handling more complex things. The train is a bullet train now. You want to get on, you better be ready. Buckle up because we're on, difficult things. Yeah. And it's all good. I think, Interesting conversation, and companies like this are important for any company or any country, specifically in our industry where this specific sector is big percentage of the GDP, right? I don't know what it is.
Dinos,
GDP, yeah.
GDP, gross domestic product. Let me say something. I mean, it's nice to say that we are in dinosaur or whatever, expanding, whatever. I mean, have you ever considered, because some people, they will think that investing in people, okay, and call yourself as a hub, it means you are not human-oriented. That's the difference between Teppides and other firms. I mean, we found the balance to be human-oriented, okay, but at the same time, to accept what each of the employee decides to do. And wishing to all of them good luck. And we want, let's say, to have that flow. We want to train people, and we want our people to be. There was once, a few years ago, a slogan, we build the leaders of tomorrow. That slogan existed in Teppides since 2015 when I joined. So imagine how many people in different industries before the financial services sector, went out from Teppides and were the leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So coming back here, this is the magic. You need to become and have an idea as a human-oriented company, investing in people irrespective, knowing that one day you will lose them.
Yes.
And at the same time, by being human-oriented company, have you ever imagined be responsible feeding 250 families?
Yeah. It's a big responsibility.
We are responsible for that.
And you currently employ 250 people only in Cyprus or globally?
No, global.
Okay.
Approximately.
Yeah.
So, the burden when you're making a decision at the board level is not... And try to maintain this, because as I said, it's not easy. We could be a company purely, let's say, training, execution, because I need to train you. I need you to execute for me. I need to, let's say, invest to the clients to be revenue stream company, whatever. But in order to balance all of this and acknowledging the responsibility of the GDP you said earlier, that's why I said all of this is how it's connected.
Yeah, of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
And at the same time, we come to the targets that we have. Okay? It's not like we as individuals being board members and the way we are assessed as well and trying to assist in the expansion of the group, because in the end of the day, we're a business. Okay? Whatever we do, whatever we invest, we are a business. And all of the business, they are profit-oriented.
Of course.
Creating profit, it means you need to put targets. Okay? So, and we are not staying, because we have a huge clientele or elite clientele, we are relaxed on it. No, we are not. So imagine the targets. You need to go out, you need to have a meeting with Dino, with Christina, with George, and then to decide, okay, are they valuable? Not in terms of money. Does it make sense? Does it fit our profile of the clients we are looking for? So everything is scrutinized. It becomes more scrutinized. Everything, there is imposition of limits on whatever decision you make.
Of course.
Reputational risk. You are liable for 250 families. If I decide to get Dino, then Dino is not, let's say, I'm not going to say legitimate, it's a bad word. It doesn't tick all of the boxes, but I think that by taking a risk, I can bring Dino to a place that he will tick all the boxes and be suitable for my clientele. There is a question, shall I invest on this? Shall I take a risk?
Right.
Those families will be affected or not. So it's a blend.
And I think it goes on both on the level of, internal hires, the recruitment process, but also the clients that you onboard. I think there is especially in your line of business, where reputation plays a big role. So if you onboard anyone who wants to get regulated, and then you're getting rejection, and then the site saying, "What are you guys doing? What are you sending me this stuff for? Reject." That's a reputation.
They might want, but we don't want. You understand? So that's why we are. It's not matter what they want. It's matter whether, I mean,
Yeah.
we're not taking the risk to do something that we cannot deliver.
That you think you can't, yeah. And I guess there's also a accepting a challenge, right? Because as the market evolves, the ones who shapeshift the market, and there's also a level of training the regulator,
Of course,
from your side. So
of course.
the ones who shapeshift the market, I think you guys are one of those participants that So, for example, and I think this opens up, I guess, expanding into other topics that we're going to discuss, which you guys mentioned before, and that was, the funds. In the past, you saw funds pretty big. Now the funds are slowing down, and that is a multi-factor. It's a link to a few questions that I had here. The one is, maybe describe the difference between, if there's what a fund is. Describe what a fund is, how that compares to what a brokerage firm, a Cypriot investment firm is. And then let's tie that up and talk about the prop trading side, which is a challenge, right? So prop trading as a business is one we know of that's not regulated. It's a gray area. Couldn't the fund model maybe be used as a framework for the prop trading businesses, which we're seeing mushrooming everywhere?
It depends. I mean, it's the way, it's two different aspects.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay.
I mean, it's different investing your own funds, and it's different, investing third parties' capital.
Right.
So this is the distinction you need to make. This is the main question.
So the gray area obviously is with the prop trading side, is they're saying this is not clients' funds.
Yeah.
These are our own funds.
Mm-hmm.
These are clients that are subscribing to, getting evaluated, and they're trading our funds.
Yes,
it's a bit of a gray area.
Yeah, but imagine if you have, let's say, $500,000 in the bank account and you know to buy a house.
Yes.
It's your own money. You buy whatever you want.
Yes.
So why should it be regulated?
Right.
Your decision should be regulated. It's the same with a company that has own capital and decides to invest in any area they want. So no regulation. Okay? And it's healthy. Why should because I have money, it means I need to be regulated? No. The problem here, and Christina can add on this, it's a matter of client protection and investor protection. That's where the regulation kicks in.
Right.
By giving the power to a third party managing third party capital, or that third party capital to be deposited on a platform, a broker, whatever, you need to ensure that everything is monitored, is regulated. No one can take advantage of the third party capital, or whatever you promise to that third party for their capital. It's met, it's followed. It's not like I'm doing what I'm doing. So here is where the regulation kicks in. So that's how you need to distinguish the difference, or this should be the first question you make in order to be in a position to decide whether we should go under a specific regulation or whether we can stick to the no need of regulation. Chrismo, in relation to the third party and...
So I think, let me maybe also clarify, because the question that I asked was, there were many different angles. And one that's quite interesting for me is you guys mentioned that the funds requests, in terms of a business that wants to set up a fund. You guys have noticed that in the past 10 years ago, there were a lot more requests than there are today.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe let's go kind of back to the layman's terms. Fund is where a firm holds money of its clients and invests it in the markets for, it looks after it's a portfolio. So it looks after the monies of other individuals. So maybe let's clarify that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's clarify that. What is the difference between an investment firm offering portfolio management services, with what you exactly described, tailored on each individual needs, having a portfolio management strategy and implement? The fund is something different because you have the strategy and you found the investors that are willing to participate. You are raising capital from investors based on your strategy. Portfolio management is tailored on specific client needs, risk profile and
Client requests.
expectations. The fund itself is built up, structured in a way that has a certain strategy, and you find people that they are interested to invest in this strategy.
And that's
the main
ongoing.
difference.
So you have a fund that's ongoing, and
there are open-ended funds, closed-ended funds.
There is fixed capital funds, variable capital funds.
So meaning you can get in and get out whenever you want, or there is a fixed period that you invest into it.
It's a preset. Okay, someone to give you their money, you come to an agreement with it. So it's like a preset agreement. These are the terms. Okay, if you trust me as the management body of this specific regulated vehicle, which is the fund, you need to subscribe and entrust me your money in this vehicle. Okay? We have the discussion. They agree, okay, I like the idea. It's innovative. It's this. I would like to give you, let's say, €500,000. Okay? You need to sign all of this. You sign disclosures, you sign that in the law is clear that there is no responsibility of whether your money will be lost, because you're supposed to be a well-informed investor and know where you are investing. Okay, we come to agreement, you sign all the documents, sending me the money, and then the control of your money comes to the fund management team of the fund. Okay, and they will try to implement, as Christina said, the preset investment strategy that they described to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Whatever return has been mentioned on the table is not guaranteed.
Yes.
And always should be that. And by law, you need to state that previous performance is not guaranteed for future performance. All of these disclaimers. The law, in essence, protects the third parties, the investors, the clients, but at the same time protects the firms as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, there will be disputes every day, and whatever you do, whatever you're not doing.
Yes.
So it's both sides. But is what I mentioned earlier is from which point of view the regulation derives.
Is there an obligation for these funds? This is just a random question for me to recall. Is there a requirement for the funds to describe exactly its strategy and where the money is getting spent? Because we manage the platforms,
mm-hmm.
and there is a way. And I'm sure these terms are familiar to you. So assets under management,
mm-hmm.
the net asset value,
mm-hmm.
And these they're almost like instruments that are visible on a trading platform that have an underlying strategy, portfolio where they invested, like Apple stocks or some forex pair or
mm-hmm.
crypto,
bonds,
whatever, and that. That NAV symbol, net asset
mm-hmm.
value, shows the performance of those investments. And I've picked this up. I don't know, but I want to clarify: is it so? It's a requirement. The fund has to disclose its investment strategy, and which means they need to show them where the money is going. Because what I've seen for some clients is we don't want to show. We don't want to show.
I will explain. And actually what's happening there, the fund will disclose to you the investment strategy. For example, we will buying fixed income products.
So a generic, let's call it asset type.
Yes, but they might say to you, I'm not going to buy Russian bonds because I'm restricted, or I'm not going to buy Bahamas jurisdiction because it's a high risk jurisdiction. I will be buying governmental and corporate bonds, okay, that are listed in reputable exchanges from high rated issuers, for example. This is the strategy. But they will never come and disclose to you the composition of the portfolio itself. So it's where our service come in as fund admin, okay? Because the fund administration is a third party, where it gets, according to the law and accounting standards, all the data from the manager, whatever he's been doing, blah, 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 and processing all of this information, the portfolio valuation, the liabilities of the fund, the expenses of the fund at the given point of time,
reporting,
everything, and then they report what you've seen on the platforms, the NAV.
Mm-hmm.
So the NAV, if it's produced by a reputable firm, okay, there is reliability that it has been calculated properly
and
that's
audited
it.
and checked.
Yes, by law, the only thing that you're entitled to get as an investor is the financial statements upon audit. Obviously, there is reporting that needs to be made, meaning that if there is an official net asset valuation, you need to receive your investment holding confirmation where it states, let's say you have invested X amount, now your X amount values Z amount to see, and thereon, obviously, the relationship you built up with your manager.
Right.
With the guy that manages your fund. I mean, the thing there, it shouldn't be, let's say, faceless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I give you €1,000,000 and you will be managing that €1,000,000, in the end of the day, I need to build up a let's say, trusted relationship between you and me. Definitely, I'm not going to get your job. I'm not going to go and become a trader.
Right.
Okay? So it will be nice for me to know where do you invest my money.
Mm.
So it's like on a goodwill basis.
Yes.
It's
Transparency.
Transparency.
Why don't you want to tell me? I'm not going to go and do what you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a transparency. But yeah, there are fuzzy guys. There are fuzzy guys that they want to show you.
Yeah. All right. So, what are we seeing today? What kind of trends? What type of products are most requested? Let's call it in 2025.
We said that there is a downwarding trend in terms of funds.
Mm-hmm.
There is also a downwarding trend in terms of investment firms, especially in Cyprus.
So the traditional brokerage model,
Yeah, and I would like to say that highly likely this is due to the heavy regulation. We had a booming of the CFDs industry in Cyprus. Now we shift into more traditional brokerage firms with products, securities, and transferable instruments. So there is obviously a downwarding trend in investment firms, and what we are seeing is booming of EMIs, electronic money institutions, payment institutions, either in Cyprus or offshore, especially Canada. The MSB licensees can also attribute, and we have to recognize cryptos are now leading the next steps. Crypto exchange, crypto investment firms. Is the hottest trend in the market.
Yeah, and complicated, I can say, because of the history of the unregulated history of this crypto space.
Complicated in terms of regulation, in terms of compliance, monitoring, it's high.
I'm referring to imagine that the cryptos exist from 2011, 2012, something like that.
Yeah, maybe even before.
Even before.
I was playing around with crypto. Let me just remember with Bitcoin. It was $11 when I was looking into it. That was around 2011. 2010, 2011.
Okay, imagine that crypto space, it got accused for 14 years for smuggling, for money laundering.
With that website, what's it called? Silk Road. There's that website Silk Road where all kinds of drugs were getting sold with crypto allowing.
Yeah.
And also these big companies that got hammered, like Mt. Gox,
BTC, the platform, is shut down with all the clients' money.
Which one is BTC?
BTC, one of the oldest exchanges. BTC-E.
Okay.
BTC-E.
Because BTC is the acronym for Bitcoin.
Yeah, -E.
Okay.
BTC-E. Okay, it was one of the, let's say, oldest exchanges in 2012, 2011. It got busted. Now the servers are shut down. The people, they lost their money. Approximately 17,000 clients, something like that.
Yeah.
The owners cannot be found.
Luna.
That was huge. Who thought about it?
Yeah.
Who thought about it?
Yeah. That was considered a stable coin, if I'm not mistaken.
Stable coin.
It was a stable
USDT.
Like imagine having USDT now, which I think the majority of the industry is considering is like as safe as USD.
No.
Yeah, I've got dollars. You wouldn't even begin to imagine that the value of $1 would be 0.01 euro cents. You would never think of that.
Never think. Yeah. And going back, to the history of this, so we are talking about 13 years of no regulation. High risk industry. All the banks were reluctant, blah, 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 blah. And millions of people trading cryptos. And all of the cryptos that created before MiCA exist. So imagine that after MiCA, all of the circulation of all of those cryptos, they will end up on the regulated platforms. By ending up on the regulated platforms, there is a process within MiCA and the EML regulation that needs to be followed. So imagine how many of those coins will not be justified, as a legitimate, not as a coin. Coins are legitimate. It's the process that everyone has accused in the past.
Right.
You paid drugs. You got them from a drug dealer. You got it from a smuggler, whatever. Okay? So that was the problem with the fraud or money laundering or involved in criminal activities, all of this stuff. So imagine if we are talking about the circulation for the sake of numbers of 1,000 coins total, circulation, issued, no names, nothing. Imagine that the 500 will not be justified, so only the 500 will end up on the regulated platforms.
And approved of.
Of course. This is how I see it. Christina, please correct me. We haven't discussed that a week ago or whatever.
Depending on the risk appetite of the platform.
Yes, okay. Then it comes the risk appetite of the platform. So it's another exposure that is created. Because back in the days, if we compare the market to market, if you have the FX companies, that everything was depending on the risk appetite of the company, and they used to play with binaries, used to play with this. So you always have the high risk players that they will be accepting everything.
Yes.
Okay. Taking the risk of doing business. Okay. But then you need to consider the sustainability, not only for the specific company, but the sustainability of the market as in government, Cyprus government, as UK government, whatever government, we are trying to build. So what I want to point out here is not just having a regulation, but the regulation, until the implementation, taking into consideration all of the aspects that they will go in that regulation, by the application of the regulation, is just not a regulation.
Yes, of course. Because the regulator always comes after the fact. The regulator always responds to what's happening.
Because the parameters are so many, you cannot predict everything from the beginning. By the time you conclude a regulation, especially in the fintech side, the fintech is
something changes.
Yeah, it's dynamic. Today we are discussing this. I'm sure tomorrow there will be a guy around the world that they will publish something else.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That breaks the law. But by the time, if you need 2-3 years to get a law drafted, then to approve a law, then for the countries to apply the law, it's so dynamic.
It doesn't align.
Yeah.
You can't be regulating the technology sector with a cycle of even 6 months is too long. It needs to be a weekly thing.
I'm going to give you an example. There are regulations in Cyprus that they do not cover money institutions, electronic money institutions.
Yeah, well,
to be used. Because back in the days when they were drafted, electronic money institutions didn't exist in Cyprus. Now we have so many electronic money institutions, and there are companies that they are regulated from those regulations that they cannot use electronic money institution because the law doesn't allow them. And it doesn't allow them not because it's not okay using them, it's because the day that the law drafted, electronic money institutions didn't exist to be included in the list of the credit institutions that you're allowed to use. Correct? So that's a problem. So you have so many banking solutions in Cyprus, but at the same time, you are so restricted because the legal framework is not a dynamic one. And if whether you decide to change the legal framework, it takes years. So by the time you change it, now it's electronic money institution. I mean, it can be a fintech boat after a few years.
Of course. And, for sure there's going to be some changes there because they've mushroomed, like the EMI. And what EMI is, if maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess a basic description of it is an EMI is a bank that doesn't have the license to provide a loan.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's a bank without giving out loans.
You have deposits, you have processing of payments, you have a credit card, let's call it Visa card. I'm not going to use the name. It's debit. It's debit card.
It needs to have money for you to use.
You need to have money and then you use it the way you want to use it. And then there are structures and structures. I mean, combining EMIs. I mean, they are connected to platforms. They are connected to this. They are connected to exchanges. They are connected anywhere. There are big names in Cyprus, abroad. I mean, we can see, because you mentioned trends, we've seen big names from abroad, I mean, choosing Cyprus to top up their structure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very good. So it means at least the combination I mentioned earlier, I mean, incentives for the shareholders, because in the end of the day, when it comes to establishment of a company to a specific jurisdiction, you need to assess the benefit that the owners have. So as Cyprus, we are very good because we have always been dealing with the shareholders of the company. And this is a good thing and a bad thing, meaning that the bad thing is we built up a structure, I mean, an ecosystem, let's call it ecosystem in Cyprus, for the benefit of the owners and not the benefit for expanding. Let's say, imagine how many thousand companies we had in Cyprus years ago, and all of them, they didn't have required to have personnel. So imagine that we have restricted, and going back to the GDP you said, restricted the opportunity of Cyprus to build up,
a workforce,
zero unemployment rates, huge utilization of people, knowledge, blah, 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 blah. Now this has shifted and changed.
Great.
Which is very good.
Yes.
So, but the good thing, because we kept the mentality of satisfying whoever wants to entrust with their, let's say, company here to Cyprus, to give them benefits. So we have created two streams. The first stream is that there are incentives for the shareholder to consider Cyprus to establish their business, which is very good, NID, PI, IP regimes, etc. And at the same time, we woke up and we say, okay, guys, we are not going after the system we used to have, but we are going for a proper players, proper infrastructures, let's say sustainable models that we will contribute to the GDP. At the same time, I cannot, let's say, that we are doing things wrong as Cyprus. At the same time, we have the opportunity to take advantage from the geopolitical, let's say, circumstances that exist in the last, let's say, 3-4 years around us and around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Israel issue, Lebanon issue, Syria issue, Russia-Ukrainian issue, all of this stuff, because, I mean, what I said earlier, I want to clarify that at least we did things correct. I mean, we built the foundation, might not have satisfied everyone, but in the end of the day, there is a foundation that we need to invest more as Cyprus, with the contribution of our firms, obviously, where and if needed. Okay? And we ended up having fintech companies with how many employees? We ended up global names of EMIs choosing Cyprus as a structure, being on their structure. Reputational damage that we have passed in the years, I mean, no one cares now. I mean, I'm very large saying that, but in the end of the day, have you made a question about the reputation of Cyprus? I mean, I haven't made it for years.
I think we've also built some history, right? So from the haircut, let's say, when you're talking about the haircut, well, we can go on about different for the sake of not using vulgar language, bloopers.
Yes.
Right? That countries have done. I mean, you can't ignore the crisis in, the America, which supposedly does something so, does things so well. I mean, what happened in 2008? The repercussions of what happened in the US in 2008, 2009 with that bubble, the toxic assets and the crash.
Mortgage-backed securities,
The crash. I mean, what happened in Cyprus, I think, was a ripple effect of what happened there.
Yeah.
Kind of links up. I don't know, but I'm not an economist, but it makes sense from the things that we hear. We're here today, and we're super strong. Cyprus, as we've got all these services, and I think it makes sense. It's a thing of the past, and it's actually very comforting to hear that you're not getting this kind of feedback from potential investors and people who want to move in and invest in Cyprus. It's a great thing to hear. But we were talking about a different. So we went on different tangents. Then I wanted to speak about something else. Yeah. Let's move on to the gaming sector, because
you're in my mind. You're in my mind, yeah.
Yeah, I read your mind. So, gaming is a big one. In Cyprus, we only have a sports betting license, I think, right?
I remember
the question. I remember the question I had. We're speaking about EMIs, and I've heard Canada and EMI come up quite a lot. Why is Canada and EMI, coming up as what's so interesting for setting up an EMI in Canada? Why not just Cyprus?
It's not an EMI. It's the MSB license, the money service business. It's like an intermediary between the client and the actual payment institution. It's not fully authorized as an EMI. It's an intermediary party, but it's highly attractive, yeah. But now the regulation in Canada became more strict. You need to have local presence. So back 5 years ago, anyone had one MSB. Really, it was that easy. But now, because you have the local presence requirement, you have some AML audit on an annual basis requirements, and we're one of the pioneers leading the relevant certifications, they are getting to second thoughts, let's say, if really that type of license is required, but in any way.
What does MSB stand for? Remind me.
Money service business.
Money services business.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's not comparable to what an EMI is. Where EMI, if we're, another kind of description we could put is you're able to create international bank account numbers that you're able to receive money into, IBANs.
MSBs can assist you by bringing you in contact with the EMIs that can do that for you.
Okay. Because it's come up, I'm obviously not involved with this kind of stuff, but every time I've spoken, to participants in the industry, professionals in the industry, we're speaking about EMIs. Canada comes up as a term.
Very popular.
Yeah. Okay.
We're in the triggering point, though, that the regulation is evolving in Canada and some more restrictions are getting into the picture. So you will less fewer times Canada from now onwards.
So
at least this is what we see.
Before we get into gaming, I have a question around what Trump's doing. And if we had to kind of put a metaphoric description of what he's doing, he's taking his freaking rattling. This is what Trump's doing right now into the market. Yeah. Is that impacting how it is? But how is it? How are you seeing that this is impacting us?
How is it not?
Yeah.
It's a madness. Yes.
Yeah. But if he ends up, let's say, solving all of these, let's say, books he opened, he will be a hero.
He's really shaking things up. He's rattling.
The process is shaking, is scary. But in the end of the day, how many people having such power and authority you've seen in the past saying something and that's it? Either take it or leave it without a diplomatic approach.
Right.
I mean, he's inviting you, and then he's like, during the conversation, he said to you, beep off at the same time.
Yeah.
It's take it or leave it. It's that's it.
Have you seen the deal he's just cut up? He's just done with the Saudis. Some 600 billion they're going to invest in the US. 140 billion in some security, some not warheads, but I mean like on the security side, like defense. And NVIDIA, 18,000 chips or whatever it is that is going to assist in the Saudi program of their AI and whatever they're doing. And we know the wealth of the Saudis is black oil, black gold.
I mean, that is no wealth.
Money ain't no thing.
It's unlimited. Yeah.
What is the number?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's really doing things. And like if we look at just how he's impacting the markets and we look at crypto, so like Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean,
reached $100,000.
Yeah.
Dropped to whatever it was, $70,000.
Oh, again.
Within a few days, it's back to $100,000. Tomorrow it could be $200,000. This is not investment advice.
No, it's not.
But listen, if you're going to put your money there, just buckle up because it's going to be.
But you need to consider something. I mean, it's Trump. It's a crypto-friendly guy.
Yes.
But what's happening with the non-US cryptos? That's a big challenge. I mean, when he comes and you see all of these, let's say, movements of Trump having imposing taxes, etc., and trying to concentrate the capital within US, which is a fact.
He's going to push a lot of movement there.
This is what I'm saying. And now he presents himself being the most, let's say, crypto-friendly guru that exists in, global-wise. The next move I see, this is a personal, guys. It's not a heads up, it's nothing. I see a guy that he will try to bring in, or let's say act in favor of the US crypto coins.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So in this way, there will be huge trend to the US crypto coins and what's happening with the rest of the world's coins. And if if he continues acting like crazy as he does, imagine the damage he can do to the rest of the world crypto coins and at the same time to the EU regulation. And coming back to so many years late, imagine that we are facing a business that might be obsolete before even be adapted.
Yeah, right.
So it's a food for thought here. It makes sense seeing the movements, the moves of this guy.
As we're discussing, I'm just I'm thinking out loud. If history repeats itself, and you look at the US dollar, many would. I think this goes without saying. It's a safe currency to have your money. It's not considered an exotic. It's a major currency. If you've got your money in US dollars, you can consider it kind of safe. Not talking about inflation or anything like that. But, US dollar is considered safe. And that is because of the stuff that's happened in the past, where they pegged it on the gold standard, then they released that. Now it's linked to the energy oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the price of oil is based on the dollar standard. And, that keeps the currency in check. And so I never thought of that. What you just mentioned is whatever they're doing right now, and it seems like, I don't think he has a very... His strategy, I don't think, is precise and with precision. He knows exactly what's going to happen. He's just throwing shit on the wall and sees what sticks. And he says, "Okay, let's do this."
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And so you're right. I think he's going to take some US crypto-based coins, link it to something that's super important,
of course,
and keep it and embracing how the world is changing.
Of course.
Let's see if he will surprise us though. Because he changed the mind every day.
Yes, but anyway, this is what I see. Because he showed his intention by attracting back in the States the US capital. Okay, that's why he did the taxes. That's why it's not for us to be restricted to buy US products. It's for the US interest companies to turn back in the US, like Russia did, taking the opportunity of the turmoil there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can see all of these, let's say, powerful countries trying to concentrate and attract back their own worth.
Yeah. Look, also what we also need to consider is we're saying that he's crazy, he's doing all this crazy stuff.
By the way, are we getting accused by saying him crazy, or it's a fact? Because we are recording, we be publicly available.
It's okay. We can say whatever we want. We can talk. Everybody's open to their own opinion.
Yeah, he's Trump.
We're talking Trump. Trump is Trump. Yeah. And also, let's also state some of the things as we see it, right?
Yeah.
Here's another perspective. We say that he's crazy and whatever, but here's another thing. If he was an evil, in my opinion, right? If he was an evil person, he wouldn't go unless there's some other ulterior motive that's to his own personal benefit, which I don't know, right? But his effort in trying to stop the wars, for me, is a great thing, right? It's a great thing.
But something you have to say from his previous, let's say, presidency. I mean,
no wars. Let's say coincidental, and he's using that. And let's say he's using that as a statistic.
Yeah.
Look what happened to me. Oh, by fluke. I didn't
After
have
100 years of wars, 5 years break. Okay, let's put it that way.
But you can't ignore the fact that he's really trying, like he's speaking to Zelensky, that meeting, he straightened him out. And recently the Pakistan and India ceasefire, they've been at arms for long, right? We've been hearing this term, peace in the Middle East. It's been 50, 60 years. It would be lovely to hear that, Trump made it happen. Peace in the Middle East. That would be great. And let him do all his crazy shit. Yeah. It's okay. But if he's helping the world, and if he's net positive globally, we need a strong America. That's important. America is very important for the globe. It just so happens to be the way
he's
it is
the biggest
today.
player. What do you mean he's important?
Yeah.
I mean, you start from its currency. You said it earlier.
Yeah.
Everything depends on dollar.
Yeah, 100%. So it's to all of our benefit. And everybody's sitting like this with their nails.
Yeah, it's like a cinema movie. It's like we are every night we're like, what he said today, what he has done today. Yeah. You're getting on the media just to see what Trump did.
Yeah.
It's not his... And because everything is affected. I mean, whatever he says, it's like the markets are down, the markets are up. The regulators are saying what the beep.
Yeah.
Then it goes and it goes. It never ends. Then the other presidents of other countries, they are like, how we can cope. I mean, we have Americans saying this. Then you have Europe. Or America, I mean, Trump did it again. And then you have China.
Yes.
I mean, there is like a financial cold war between America and China.
Yeah.
And then it goes. So everyone has hidden agendas, open agendas.
Yeah.
They discuss open agendas by they formulate even bigger hidden agendas. And in the end of the day, there is a huge impact. If it's going to be for the good, there are good things, bad things. Let's see. It's what you said earlier with the wall and the pick up whatever it stays there.
Yeah. And move on.
Yeah.
Adjust, adapt, and move on. I'm sure he didn't intend for Elon Musk's Tesla to drop so much.
Yeah, because
I'm sure that
wasn't
now intended. Because, super interesting. And it's also going to be interesting to see how the because crypto is a lot more complex as a source of value. If we compare it to fiat currency, it's a lot more complex, and how the possibilities around regulation that open up with regard to a digital-based currency that, let's say, is accepted worldwide. So a term that comes up, and I actually want to ask you this. So when we talk about compliance, KYC, know your customer, these are standard things. Super, people know what that is. Give me your utility bill. Prove to me who you are. And Have you heard of KYT? So that's know your transaction.
It's what I said earlier about the gap of 12 years. In order for a broker firm to accept your cryptos, if you are depositing cryptos, they need to perform the KYT.
know your transaction.
Yes, but I'm saying, imagine if you are on a platform that got busted 5 years ago.
Yes.
And you are from the lucky ones that you have extracted, you have withdraw your coins
Yes.
and put them on the hard wallet. Okay? And now you have a USB. And you go to the new platform and say, guys, I have 100 Bitcoins. And they say to you, prove me your trading activity. How do you prove it?
Yeah.
How do you prove it? So the circulation of Bitcoin is 19 million less 100 Bitcoins that I have on the USB. Because no one will be in a position to accept it. And I might be the most legitimate person, legitimate coins.
It's available on the ledger, so you can see it.
Yeah, I don't know how it goes. This is the question. I mean, it hasn't been tested.
Super complex.
It hasn't been tested. I mean, I'm just, okay, I'm not an IT guy. I don't know how the ledgers, they follow the codes or whatever. You can trace it and then links to the closed, let's say, busted platform. And then before that, if that platform got accused for money laundering, etc., then it comes to the risk appetite of the company, whether to accept it or not. And then is what I said earlier. I mean, how many of those coins they will remain off circulation?
Yeah.
And if they remain off circulation, I mean, if you get the traditional models of the capital markets and circulation of companies, if you issue, let's say, 1 million shares, but in the end of the day, only 500,000 is active, but the value of the company is at the value of 1 million shares, it means the 500,000, it means they value more. Right. So here, if the circulation of 19 million something, 20 million, I don't remember the exact, let's say, circulation of Bitcoin, if millions are lost during the transition from the non-regulated space to the regulated space, by justifying the KYT, what you said earlier, but the, let's say 30% cannot be justifiable and accepted based on the risk appetite of the company, it means that 20 million will turn back to 15, for example. But the value is on the total circulation. So there will be a boost on prices. But that boost on prices, don't forget that it's not actual until the time you will sell and you cash out the value.
Right. And if you got to compare it to what theoretically people are more accustomed to and they understand. And I think what compares this in fiat currency is, let's say, euros, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever euros are available on bank accounts, that's electronically available, that is accounted for. Mm-hmm. Until you withdraw from the ATM, if somebody's got cash that's sitting underneath the pillow, how is it accounted for? And then when you use the cash and you go and you spend whatever, you buy a vehicle, you buy this, whatever, I guess it kind of compares to the cold wallets you mentioned cold wallets in comparison to looking at the crypto space. It's fascinating to see how this is going to evolve, because here's the thing, with crypto, it opens up a bit more possibilities around controlling it to some degree, to some degree, because it's all recorded and it's talking about the Bitcoin blockchain. Let's move into the iGaming. We've already been speaking for more than an hour, believe it or not.
Time flies.
Yeah, we're happy about it though.
We're gonna stay more.
It was pleasure. It was a pleasant flow. I mean,
I think so. We've covered a lot of topics, right? We've covered a lot of topics, and I think for whoever listens to this is just. This podcast is exactly what we delivered over here. Is exactly what I want. My aim is coffee shop talk, right? What comes up in conversation, in professional conversation with professionals in the industry that know what they're talking about. That's insightful information. For whoever sees this, there's something they can extract from this. For some it might be, this is information, I don't know what they're talking about, But then it's also, getting to know Yorgos and getting to know Christina and getting to know me a bit more. And, it's all good. Yeah.
If you have invited me with an agenda, I wouldn't come. I mean, in all of my presentations, moderations, Christina knows me, you will never see me with a paper. I don't like preset
scripted stuff.
No.
Yeah.
It's a freelance. I mean, how you call it? Freestyle.
Yeah.
I like a freestyle approach like this. And please mention to your audience that there is no agenda. It was an open
There's
discussion.
no agenda, of course.
And
I also think I'm like that as well. I mean, this is how the podcast is built.
Yes.
Because otherwise, if I was going to sit and do a script, I'd be, and I'd fumble my words.
Yeah.
Reading the question. It would be, without passion, right?
Yeah.
You can talk about whatever you talk about and just open up the questions. Let's maybe conclude this conversation and let's touch a little bit on the iGaming.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned Curacao.
Malta.
Romania has a solid also industry in the gaming. And we are expecting the regulation in Cyprus to be finalized. It's under drafting.
For casinos online?
For gaming, yeah.
Because now I know that there's sports betting for sure.
Sports betting, I mean, the up games and stuff like that.
Oh, and then there's also
the physical casino.
Yeah.
And the physical casino. And
Of
we're
course.
expecting the iGaming regulation, which is drafted based on the Maltese standards, which we have to admit are very good ones.
It's a prestigious license.
Yeah.
The Maltese
very,
one.
very good one.
Very good one.
And to be honest, I was involved 3 years with compliance and systems audit for licensed Maltese casinos. I mean, in Malta, we have the MGA, okay, which is the Maltese Gaming Authority.
Yeah.
Where what they did, they impose requirements to these before the approval of the license. You need to go and do the systems audit, okay? And we are approved auditors in Malta. So we go there, we check the platforms, we check the flows, we check the games, we check the servers, we check whatever. It's like an agreed upon procedure of 250, 80, let's say, topics, lines. And then you need to check one by one, and then you report as an independent, let's say, system audit approved provider. Okay, as an auditor, it's audit, it's assurance, let's say, related. Sorry? Engagement. And you provide the conclusion whether that company, the online casino, it's what they have submitted to the MGA is accurate and correct. Okay? Whether if there is a breach or whatever, it's that mitigation actions in order to bring everything up to date before they give the authorization. This is very good because there is an external party testing what the regulator has assessed over the applicant, which is very good.
So these are things like the random number generator of the actual platform that it is.
Yes,
so
you need to check
testing.
the server, you need to check the revenue stream, you need to check the percentage of the profit of the casino, whether they align with the regulation or not regulation. This is, you can see the fraud align.
Risk management.
The risk management. Then you have the KYC onboarding, whether it's required or not, how it goes. Then you have the games where are affected or not. It's a huge, it's not, as I said, it's approximately 250 to 280 things that you need to check. And each line, you might escalate further to another 10 things in order. Yes. So it's not so it's good. Malta, this is what I came and mentioned this. Malta did a good job in building this. But at the same time, everything depends on the crowd and clients you would like to attract.
The combination of the Maltese regulation and the workforce in Cyprus and what we offer to companies and shareholders, I think it will boom as well.
That's super interesting. I didn't know that Cyprus is looking into getting in. I thought that it was intentional that it's only sports betting and left it just at that, and that was their intent for a long time. I didn't know that online casinos.
It was about time to see the perspectives there.
Of course. Malta got in the game, super smart from a while ago. They matured as a regulator so well, as say Cyprus has done in the financial space, right? We super matured over here with CySec. That's what they've done in the gaming space. It's never too late.
Never too late, no.
I think it's great. And I think, kind of the same model that we have around the fintech space is if you're regulated in Cyprus, you can offer your services to all of Europe. Where currently the sports betting, if you're licensed as a sports betting provider in Cyprus, it means you can only onboard Cypriots.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's limiting. Get the whole EU. I mean, what do we in the EU?
In 2025, the cross-border passporting of services is a must. You cannot limit yourself into that island.
We need outside fresh money. Cyprus is whatever our working force is, 300,000 people. What is it? It's not enough. We need more things.
This is our thing anyway. We're bringing money in. Traditionally,
this is what we do. I said it earlier. I mean, you go and choose who you will bring in Cyprus.
Of course.
How the impact will be. And if I bring someone that it will not give, first of all, he's not going to give me next year's services. So why I should be bothered as a company? So you always, recurring relationship. So if you target on a recurring relationship that maintains you as a company a revenue stream, okay, it means that you create sustainability to the country. Whatever type of company is this, if it's a tech company, if it's a gaming company, if it's a fund manager, traditional company, prop trading company, family office. To be sure, if I start having, let's say, 200 entities, any type of entities, but only, let's say, 20 are sustainable, the 10% of the companies, impact and return, not as a company, as a place, as a country, it will be minimal. It will be pointless. The time and effort you invested is not worth.
Yeah. And, we've got everything else for us. So it's a beautiful, it's a paradise place.
Oh, lovely.
We've got the sun 330 days a year. We've got the infrastructure and it's just expanding. It's a beautiful place.
We have become a Miami. If you take into consideration yesterday, sunny, and then let's say those
rain,
spontaneous rain, and then again sun in the afternoon, dry everything, but it's good.
Infrastructure growing.
Tropical.
We've got the golfing that's expanding, the Limassol Greens.
Paddle now. We have from the official association, the Global Official Association of Paddle, we had a recently tournament in Nayanava. And there is another one this weekend or the week after.
It's incredible what this paddle is just taking the world by storm. Yeah. You look at South Africa, they've gone crazy. And I've never tried myself. I really want to try it. It looks so fun. And I think it's easy, like as a sport.
It's hard to get the point though. I don't know. I haven't done it.
The rules are easy, but you have to be fit, guys. It's not easy.
Sure. Okay, but in any sport, but if you compare, compare it to golf.
No. Too slow.
Yeah.
Too slow.
No, but also the technicality of it. Ball comes, bounces.
Strategy.
The ball to eye coordination with holding that racket. It's a lot easier than golf.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah. Faster paced. Sure.
Faster. That's the action. With the paddle, what do you mean? I was discussing with a friend of mine that she's in the paddle thing. And she was telling me about these few, let's say, rules, whatever. The only thing I like, not the only thing, one of the things I liked, when you smash the ball, when you smash it and it goes out the playing ground, you can go out of the door and smash it in and play in. So it gets excited. But I don't know, it's a new trend, it's a new thing. And I'm glad that Cyprus came to, hotels actually came to collaboration with the Global Paddle Association.
Yes.
And they create tournaments in Cyprus.
Great initiative.
It's nice because you see, we are moving out of the traditional space. We are moving out of the
football only.
Yes.
Everyone was obsessed with football. There's other things, that people of all ages can even try, So I think paddle can, yes, you need to be fit, but it's not like in tennis. I don't play. But this is logic. If the ball goes past you in tennis, you've lost. In paddle, if it goes past you, you've got a second chance because it's going to come bouncing back.
This is what I'm saying. It's hard to get the point. So it's easy regulation because it's almost have no regulation, but it's very hard to get the point.
Yeah.
So you play, but it's good. Let's see how it goes. But it's expanding. Everyone knows talking about paddle. It's like crazy.
And also, obviously, it's not only the sports; it's also the marinas which are growing. It's It's all good.
Real estate still evolving.
Mm.
I'm not sure about the prices and the booming and the balloon, whatever, but it's evolving.
Yeah.
We seem to be stable.
Yeah. One final question, and I'm just going back. When do they expect the iGaming casino stuff to be regulated, and is there any kind of expectation there?
Even if there was a time frame, we tend not to meet the time frames in Cyprus. We have our own pace and so on. It's something that was supposed to come into. I'm expecting something within this year or
2025.
2026.
Interesting. Let's move into some closing comments. Maybe feel free to mention whatever it is that you feel. Where can the audience, whoever's interested, to reach out to Teppides or Yorgos or Christina, where can they find you? I'll leave it up to you who does the closing comments, or both.
We can both, but you can start.
Oh, no, I like it. I was concerned before coming because, as I said, I haven't done it before the podcast. But I like it because it was a freestyle. This is what it's good. And we wanted to touch on several topics, several ideas. I need to put some disclaimers. We haven't given any investment advice. It's just what we see. That's just how the trends go. And don't rely on us. But if let's say in the future we come up to be right with our either predictions or trends or whatever, I mean, we will be pleased to hear it from all of you guys and you and Dino as well. Hope it was pleasant for you having us here.
It was awesome, very insightful. Christina?
It was a lovely experience, first time experience, but it was nice to talk about our day-to-day and professionalism in a more calm, natural way, just for people to get to know us, because obviously they know some names, they are directors of Teppides and so on, but guys, we're friendly, we're here, we can talk as well. It's not only business.
We have voice.
Yeah.
We have voice. Definitely George has a voice. It's a dominant character anyway. You can see that.
Directors of Teppides can engage in casual conversation, and I think if anyone takes anything away from this, let them take that away.
Yeah, more than happy.
And that's a wrap. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you as well.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.